So to flatten my stones and also to condition them, I use silicon carbide powder. This stuff right here. Now this is a 60-90 grit mixture. When I've got a really tough stone, like an oil stone or an Arkansas stone, I break out 46 grit. This stuff is really large. It can actually chew through your glass very quickly. You can get this stuff on eBay. Just look for rock tumbling grit or just silicon carbide powder. It's all over the place. You can find it, it's cheap. Next up, you're going to need a piece of glass, a piece of marble, a piece of sheet metal, something like that that is flat, that won't get damaged from this loose abrasive. I use a piece of glass. Just going around the neighborhoods, you know, occasionally I'll see somebody throwing away a coffee table or an old entertainment center that's got glass windows. I'll stop and I'll take that glass, just pull it out, throw it in the trunk, bring it home. Now I have cut these myself and I didn't do a very good job, but you just need a glass cutter. You just score it and then you kind of tap on it and it'll actually snap off real easily. Once you've done that, you got your grit on the plate, just make a diagram with a pencil. And from there, it's just a matter of grinding. Just rub the stone back and forth across the grit in the plate until all of those grid patterns are gone. Now this is very loud, let me warn you ahead of time, it's going to be extremely loud. You want to rotate the stone often. As you can see, I've got most of the marks are coming off directly in the middle, and I still got marks around the edges. So I'm just going to keep doing this until this thing is completely flat. The 60-90 grit is going to leave my surface texture conditioned fairly aggressive, which is exactly what I want for this 400 grit stone. If I were using a 1000 grit stone, I would probably stop around 600, 800. I usually stop close to whatever grit that the stone is rated for. So if it's 1000 grit, I stop close to 1000 grit, 800, 900. If it's a 6000 grit, I'll try to stop around 1500. I usually don't even take it that high. I usually stop around 800, 600, somewhere in that ballpark, just because I don't want that ultra smooth surface texture. I want the stone to grab the steel and actually bite into it. So I like a little aggressiveness on my stones. Now there's no right or wrong way to do this. You can do figure eights, you can do circles, you can just go back and forth. It's whatever you're comfortable with. Stone is pretty much flat. I've got all the pencil marks removed, so I'm going to flip it over, do the exact same thing to the other side. Just feeling the texture, I can feel it's kind of pebbly, which lets me know it's got that coarse feel. That's exactly what I'm looking for, exactly what I want. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing to my 1K stone here. This is a soaking stone, but it's already dried out. So this might pose an issue since I've got no water absorbed into it. It may suck up all the water on the plate. We'll see how it goes. That's pretty much got the surface flat. Now I am going to do the same exact thing to the other side just to make sure I get this thing as flat as I can. And as I use this grit, it slowly starts to break down and get a little finer. So it started out at 60-90. I'm no longer worried about it being that aggressive on my 6K stone because I've already lapped 2 stones now with it. So a lot of those large abrasive particle sizes have now broken down. Alright, so my 400 grit stone, like I said, I'm just going to leave it at 60-90. I want that real coarse aggression. But my 1K stone, I don't want it to have that real coarse pebbly texture, so I'm going to go finer. I'm going to use a 120-220 combo. Get some of that aggression taken out of it. You don't need a lot. A little goes a very long way. But be careful not to do this where there's fans blowing and stuff like that. You don't want this stuff blowing back in your lungs and inhaling it. Again, putting a grid pattern on it, just so I know when I've lapped through all parts of the surface. Pressure, I don't put pressure down, just the weight of my hands, if that. And as it starts to remove that coarse texture, you'll feel the stones start sticking. That's when you know it's definitely flat. So all my marks are removed. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the 6K side. This is messy, there's no doubt about it. Do it near a sink, though I would suggest not rinsing the grit off in the sink. I would suggest trying to get it in your garbage can. This stuff can, I can't say for certain, but there's a possibility it can clog your pipes. It'll develop a sediment. Again, I don't know for certain, but why risk it? That side is flat, texture smooth. And I may leave both sides where they're at currently. I'm going to rinse them off and see how they feel. So how are we looking? Well, my surface texture no longer has that pebbly feel. The 6K side could probably use a 400 grit lapping, but I'm not going to go that far with it. I'm going to leave it like it is. It will wear down as you use the stone. And my 400 has a nice pebbly texture. It's got a lot of aggression, so the next time I sharpen on this guy, it's going to start removing steel very, very quickly. And that's exactly what I want. This stone should not be slow. It should be quick, and you should have plenty of feedback. With the texture condition the way I just did, it will provide all that and then some. But you can do Arkansas stones this way, oil stones, silicon carbide, all the water stones you could possibly think of. This is a very versatile system. It's very cheap and it's easy to do. Now the only drawback is it's messy. No ways around that. If you don't want to purchase a really expensive diamond plate like a Toma, this is an excellent option. And one of the things about using diamond plates to lap your stones is they don't condition the surface. The surface is not conditioned whatsoever. It's not what you need. I've heard the Sharpening glass diamond lapping plate, whatever the hell it's called, the $300 one. I've heard that actually conditions the stone surfaces. I don't know firsthand because I've never used one. But that thing is crazy expensive. I mean, do you really want to spend that kind of money just to maintain your waterstones? I know I don't. If I'm going to buy diamonds, I want to buy diamonds for sharpening, not for lapping. I've flattened my Spyderco UltraFine ceramic this way. I condition it occasionally with 600 grit powder. I've taken it all the way up to 1500 grit, but I find that there's more of a burnishing effect when it gets that high and very little cutting. Burnishing is not what you want when you're sharpening a knife. You want the stone to cut the steel. Burnishing is just causing deformation of the steel. It's not cutting it, so not good for sharpening. Anyway guys, I hope this was helpful to some of y'all. If you have any questions or comments, as always, leave them below. Appreciate you watching. Y'all have a good one.